pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The New Jersey Public Meetings Law has been satisfied by forwarding a notice to the Asbury Park Press on August 19, 2016, stating that a special meeting of the ToCN Township Committee will be held on August 24, 2016 at 4 o'clock p.m. Town Hall. The notice requirements have been posted on the township website and a copy is on file in the office of the township clerk.
Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Fitzgerald.
Here.
Committeeman Ragnow.
Here.
Committeeman Bartolomeo.
Here.
Committeeman Eastman.
Here.
Mayor Orgo.
Here. Resolution 2016-107, executive session. Comments?
We're doing it so people know why we're doing it.
Motion approved.
So moved. Second.
Voice vote. Paulson. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
We shall return to open meeting at 6 p.m.
Thank you. Okay.
Could you please remove that during the meeting? Good afternoon. We're back out in public session now. Resolution 2016-97, a resolution of the Township of Polson to approve and endorse the acquisition of the development easement by the Monmouth County Agricultural Development Board, Block 10, Lot 8. Any comments?
No. Second. Yeah, we will let it make it.
This was the wording problem we had last time.
Right.
So this is the wording problem we fixed?
Yes.
Or wording problem,
Yes, I got first a second.
Roll call.
Yeah.
Deputy Mayor Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Committeeman Ragnow. Committeeman
Yes, I'm sorry, yes.
On that resolution.
Committeeman Bartolomeo.
Yes.
Committeeman Eastman.
Yes.
Mayor Orgo.
Yes. Administrative report.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. We have a request from the Homestead Business Association in connection with their upcoming pig roast. They are looking for township committee approval to have beer and wine served at that event, September 20th, 6:30 to 9.
Discussion. Attendance of Monmouth County Prosecutor.
Wait, we need a motion and,
I'll move. Good second.
all right,
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
I'm in favor.
Opposed? Are you in favor?
I'm in favor, yes. Aye, yes, aye.
All right, thank you.
That's all I have.
Aye. Next is attendance of Monmouth County Prosecutor Training for Chief Sawyer. Any discussion on that?
I don't have objection.
No.
Is this the, which one?
September 15th?
Yeah, this is the, sponsored by the Monmouth County Prosecutor's Office. I think several of the folks are all attending here. So it has appropriate authority. Comes to your attention and consideration.
Good, the way motion is affirmation.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Yes, I'd like to, I'm requesting a 5-minute executive session so I can present something to the governing body. 5 minutes on personnel.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Deputy Mayor Fitzgerald.
Yes.
Committeeman Ragnow.
Yes.
Committeeman Bartolomeo.
Yes.
Committeeman Eastman.
Yes.
Mayor Orgo.
Yes.
So we will return, we'll come back in public session in 5 or 10 minutes.
Second. Roll call.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the opinion of the hearing officer in the matter of Polson Township Committee versus Chief Kevin Sawyer, disciplinary matter, possible resolution.
Mayor, I think if I'm correct, this is a discussion item now. And normally we've been in a discussion item, we would discuss it amongst ourselves as the township committee. And then if there were a motion proposed, it would then be Would there be comment again from us, and then public comment?
The public, there's not public on the resolution, there's there's a public session after you have your
After the
action.
Right. So this is just a discussion item as it relates to the finding from the hearing officer, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Sure. If I might, for those of you who don't know, I sit this year as the liaison to the police department, so I'm the interface interaction with the police department, in this case, Chief Sorrell. I apologize, I don't know the dates. An incident came to the attention of the township involving the use of a on-duty police vehicle and an on-duty sergeant going to the airport to pick up the chief. As we understand it, his wife Susan and apparently another chief of another department, and maybe that person's significant other. And I apologize, I don't know the details. I guess at some point in time, Senator, do we have to determine whether or not we have to put an obligation as this township committee to report that anywhere else in terms of whether there's a personnel policy issue with the other department? Or is that not our charge?
That's not right.
Okay. So when that came to the attention, a determination was made that we had to talk about it. It's a violation of the employee policy and procedures manual here in Colts Neck. A determination was made that discussion would be had. Chief Sorrell was given his rights notice for discussion on that. A discussion was had and determination made that discipline should be meted out for that violation. We met with the chief, and the discussion was also ensued at that point in time about how that would or would not be resolved. When the discipline of the 5 days was given to the chief at that point in time, then he determined he wanted to appeal that. He appealed that determination to the hearing officer. The hearing officer is appointed by the township committee, who chose a retired judge, Judge O'Hagan. Judge O'Hagan took testimony. There was transcripts of the testimony of all the parties that heard that, had that hearing. The chief testified, others testified, our administrator, Captain Cristo, testified, and Judge O'Hagan made a determination, I think last week, that as the hearing officer, he kind of went through the history of what had occurred, what the information was, why this, I guess would have been the next step for the appropriate discipline in this situation. And the hearing officer recommended that the 5-day suspension without pay, meted out originally by the township committee, be upheld. That would then bring us to this hearing. We would have to adopt that. I guess there's a couple choices. Choices are we could adopt the determination of the hearing officer. We could make a recommendation for a lesser or more significant discipline, depending on what this township committee were inclined to do. So the current discussion now is the hearing officer is upholding the 5 days. This discussion amongst us is really to determine whether or not the use of the township vehicle and the taking an officer off his post during his normal work time warrants the 5 days, does it warrant more days, or does it warrant less days? So that's where we are. Is that fairly encapsulated? And obviously there's, we have our discussion. Assuming someone makes a motion about what we're going to do on that, and there's a determination of what we're going to do, we vote. After the vote, anybody in attendance would have an opportunity to speak. It is a public meeting. The public meeting being held now, so you all know, is at the request of the chief. When he's given his rights notice, he has the option of having that hearing held in public or not. He chose to have it held in public. If he had not elected to have it held in public, it would have been done privately. And that's I think where we are. So the public comment, so everyone knows, I think, Mayor, would come, as the Senator pointed out, would come at the end of our meeting, which would be our normal public comment that we would have at the end of any meeting. So,
Anybody else want to comment?
No.
What is everybody's feelings towards
I think the hearing officer findings were consistent with what the township determined, the township committee and the appropriate authority determined after its investigation, that the chief did something wrong, he got caught doing it, and that he's going to be disciplined for it. I, for one, would have preferred that discipline be done privately. He opted not to have it done privately, he opted to have it done publicly. That's fine, it's his choice within the law. I'm somewhat disappointed in the lack of contrition. I think what you did was wrong. I think that maybe it's been wrong for some time. And I think that in any other setting, something that strikes me, in any other setting, any other employee, including township employees, county employees, any other employee, is that if they did something wrong and were to be disciplined by their employer, they wouldn't have the ability to avail themselves of the processes that you've had the ability to avail yourself of. And I think, and I respect the law, of course, doing what I do for a living, and I think you have the ability to avail yourself of the law, and I think that the hearing officer, well-respected, retired Superior Court judge, made factual findings and made a determination, and I think that the punishment as we originally determined and as the hearing officer upheld is the appropriate punishment for the conduct. And if nobody else has any comment, I will move it.
I do want to speak. I tried to just kind of give the outline as a police liaison, but I do want to make a comment, and I'll say to Chief or I'll say to Kevin, because I've known him for a long time, and there's other chiefs in this room that I know very well. I am also disappointed it wasn't something that was resolved with a, geez, okay, maybe I shouldn't have done that. And whether it's happened before, it hasn't happened before, it's not what happens in 2016. When you see a Colts Neck police car in a place that it would normally be, not on police business or a tangential police business, if that's the argument, I think it sends the wrong message. And so I think the difficulty I'm struggling with as Committeeman Mack now is, what has now happened is, and I don't know if there's any press in the room, it doesn't matter to me if there is or there isn't, but it's now about to be very much common knowledge. So the reality is that we have a situation where if it's the norm anywhere else, that's going to be addressed. Going forward, it should or shouldn't be, that each town will make that self-determination. And if there's appeal from this, which the chief certainly has the right to do that, I guess we're about to make it the law on whether it is that you can take a police car from one place to another when you're at, whether it's arguably a police function or not, when you're going, in that case, it was going to Chicago to a Chiefs Association meeting. We found that to be problematic. It violates the public policy here. But I really do wish, and I've expressed this personally to Kevin, I say it to the chief now and to the other chiefs, it should have been handled differently. But here we are.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to comment if I could, and that is that although this happened before my watch as a township committeeman, I think I have a little bit of a different view than the rest, in that I'm more focused on the process and procedure than I am on the facts as they were found by Judge O'Hagan. I'm heartened by the fact that we used retired Judge O'Hagan as the hearing officer, because as a trial lawyer, he was one of the lawyers that everybody during his lifetime wanted to be. He was a great trial lawyer, and he was a great jurist, and we were fortunate to have a retired judge such as that take this task on, which was not an easy task to undertake, and do it with all deliberate speed. My reading of his report is that he took the charge seriously, that he was meticulous in his work, that he made detailed findings of fact and conclusions of law, that my sense of it is, as a trial lawyer and as a member of this committee, that it's a work that one could rely upon, that it's a work that one could impose trust in, and I do impose trust in it. I trust that his findings of fact and conclusions of law were reasonable under the circumstances and right. I believe that based on the recommendation by Judge O'Hagan, that there was an
an action that was wider than marking. It was an action such that it should not be mildly forgotten, or rather there ought to be a penalty by way of discipline charge because of it. So I'm not happy with the events that took place, but I am satisfied with the resolution, with the manner in which it was resolved, and the thoughtful deliberations that Judge O'Hagan brought to the task about not only the findings of facts, but also the recommendation that he made. And I'm prepared to recommend or second the motion that the decision be implemented as outlined by Judge O'Hagan.
I'll speak for a moment. I have to voice similar opinions of my fellow committeemen. Not the way I would like anything to have taken place. I'm also a younger man here, newer on the board. But I look within, and the question at hand was, if anyone was to stop me on the street or our roads or our anything that we call our sidewalks, and say, how do you feel about an employee using the car for their personal use? And I spoke directly to them about this. I haven't wavered at all. As a representative of the taxpayer, I feel that it was an incorrect thing to do. It was the wrong thing to do, and it could be glossed over as common practice or normal. And it is unfortunately 2016, and normal today is nothing like normal in the past. I've battled with it. I think that the discipline amount, time could have been reduced, and I know Kevin, our Chief Sorter, was given the opportunity to have it reduced. So I'm at a crossroads where I don't think that it needs to be 5 days. I think it could be 1 to 3, and I would move that. But I'm at a crossroads where I think, take some of the venom out of it, I think we're all at a crossroads because no one wants to see this happen. And unfortunately, this is where we are. So I'll move to lighten the sentence for the disciplinary, I don't know how to say it properly, either 1 to 3, and put that on the table.
I don't think he can, just one second.
Oh,
Well, it was made back to the motion and second by.
Yes, and he can move to amend it if he wants to, but he'll have to have a second for that.
You move to amend the days to
I would
5 to
I would move to amend it to
2 days.
2 days.
So is there a second on that? The amendment does.
The motion to amend with that. And then move back to
The motion on
the
the
motion
table.
that's on the table, which is the question.
Which is to adopt the findings of the hearing officer, is that right?
Yes, that's what I seconded.
Which is the 5 days.
I think we should go with hearing officer only because that's what we started out, and he recommended anything less would do less. It's, you know, too late now, too little and too late. So, that's the roll call, please.
Yes. Deputy Mayor Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Committeeman McNabb?
Yes.
Committeeman Bartolomeo?
No, abstain.
Committeeman Eastman?
Yes.
Mayor Urban?
Yes. With that, I will open up public comments.
Thank you. Charles Chiara, attorney for Chief Kevin Sauter. Just wanted to correct a few things. I heard personal use a few times. This was an approved chief's training, a certification, council approving Kevin Sauter going to this conference with the dates and everything else.
Excuse me, there's supposed to be comments. We're not recording.
That's it. So I know that, this was an approved, in terms of my comment is that this was an approved chief's conference he was going to, not personal use. And I just wanted the record to reflect that in an open public hearing. I think we should be careful how we couch what is before us. Secondly, with regard to Judge O'Hagan, I offered to unilaterally pick a hearing officer and pay for it. Towns are strapped, the PBA has made that offer. That was rejected. The opinion of your hearing officer here, in this case a lawyer, who happens to have had the title of spiritual judge, is given no more weight than a lawyer or a chief from another jurisdiction or anywhere else because it was unilaterally chosen. I offered to unilaterally choose and pay for that to save the town money. Everybody going, oh yeah, that makes sense. And when my hearing officer, who I happened to chose, happened to find that the facts were different. So in terms of there being process ownership, process, due process, that type of stuff. I'm also noting that there seems to be a trial penalty that's related to this in terms of we offered less, he would take it. Kevin Seller has been your chief for many years. I understand you have the lowest, if not the second lowest crime in all of Monmouth County. Nothing is going on here that's wrong. What's been happening here in terms of Kevin Seller going to trainings and doing exactly what Mr. Idu was going to say just a minute, has been going on for years. Something has changed with regards to the view of things. And if a citizen came to me and said, yeah, I saw a car up at the airport, so yeah, we do that for years, the chief is going to approve by this council training in Chicago, because we want our chiefs of police in this town and others to be up to speed on what's transpiring. We approved it, we paid for it, and he went. That wouldn't be personal use, and wouldn't be anything you have to defend. You'd say that probably, yeah, we want a well-trained department and all the rest of it. So I make those 3 notes. We will be litigating this further. The town will be paying more. I don't know that it'll just be an appeal, or maybe a lawsuit attached to it. But through all of this, my client came to me and he said, look, I want to make sure if I'm out for 5 days that the department is not affected. And he came to me with the fact there's details this weekend that he's scheduled to work. I spoke to Mr. Bennett, and my client will, by Anderson, to the mayor. By tomorrow at 11 a.m., he will forward to the mayor his suggestion for the most efficient way to keep overtime reduced and the personnel time of other officers. He will submit by 11 a.m. tomorrow a memorandum, one copy to the administrator. Is that okay?
Whatever you...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Through email or handle or whatever, suggesting, look, this is 5 days. I think he suggested next Monday through Friday makes the most sense, or if you're going to work with me so that we don't have additional overtime, we don't have other officers and committees to result in this. In the meantime, that's something he was focused on in the middle of this. That clients want to burn down their shops when something like this happens. Kevin Salter was concerned about the continued efficient, meaningful operation of the department. That was his consideration. So you'll have that by tomorrow at 11 a.m. And you'll obviously make whatever decision you think is appropriate based on that. And I know I'll see some of you at the proceedings down the road. You'll be subpoenaed and brought out. I look forward to litigating this case for as long and as expensive as it may be. Thank you.
Good evening, Raymond Hayduka, Hayducka, 540 Ridge Road, Monmouth Junction. Good evening, I'm the Chief of Police of we met in South Brunswick Township. I'm the past president of the New Jersey State Chiefs. I'm also in charge of the Legal Aid and Arbitration Committee. I'd like to make a few comments regarding what has occurred. It's my opinion and the opinion of the chiefs and our labor councils that there's a misunderstanding of the rights of the chief of police. There's a statute that was put in, 48-14-118, which is known as the Chief Responsibility Act, which separates what the appropriate authority does and the rights of the chief. You both have rights. I am very confident, and we will back it up in case law, that you've stepped on the chief's rights. There's case law saying that he could use that vehicle for police-related purposes, and obviously this $350 expenditure was approved. He had to get to the airport. Was he going to park the police car there and build a town? It's probably about $40 a day. Mike, I know, I believe you're from law enforcement. You should probably understand this. If the press is here, I hope they are, I'll be happy to comment. I counted 25 police chiefs that were picked up by a police vehicle or an unmarked vehicle. And many of them who did have their wife accompany them did take it. Whether that's in your policy or not, you got to look at the policy as a whole. How many times do we transport citizens every day? It occurs every day. In my police department, we're full service, we're just like this department. If somebody pulls up, we give them a ride. I always say we're just like Uber. If someone's intoxicated, take them home. It's a lot easier. We are there to protect and serve. It's being made into a big thing. I don't know if it did come out, but Chief Sawyer's been doing this for a long time. No one's ever told him he couldn't do it, and quite frankly, it's something that probably could be litigated. It's up to the chief to assign personnel. He is his personnel. He assigned himself to training. You talked about the Monmouth County thing today. Folks, I think the personalities are just getting in here. It's becoming a vendetta. It's time to really take it down a notch and really let's talk and communicate about this. It's a free training that I understand he has to tell you that you have that right. Tell him where he's going, but he doesn't need your permission to go to training. I know you may disagree with me, but I'll be happy to show you the case law. He can go to any training he wants. Yes, you control the purse strings. I understand that. But it's a free training. I spend probably 50% of my time out of South Brunswick, going to prosecutors' meetings, chiefs' meetings, training, valuable training. Right? Not a lot of litigation going in this town. Direct reflection of what this man has been doing for 20 years. All right? You're taking 5 days from him, and it's personal. He's a family man. He has 6 children. All right? You're taking 5 days pay out of his pocket. It's personal. This is clearly selective. He's the only one that has to fill out a claim sheet. I didn't hear you talking about anyone else going to that training, and I know everyone was invited. I think what I'm going to do is make another offer. We would like to get the discipline as a separate issue, but some of these rights of the chief, it's time to get a mediator or arbitrator in here. The New Jersey State Chiefs will pay for half of it. Coltsneck willing to pay half of it. Let's sit down and iron out these rules, get somebody that we both can agree on, and resolve these issues. Let's put this to bed. Right? You're impacting a man and his family. He had every right to assign a police officer where you have I'm not going to discuss coverage. You had ample coverage in town. Right? He took that into consideration. Otherwise, he could have gotten another chief to pick him up. They rotated to be efficient and effective. Right? It was Chief Powers that he drove. Feel free to call his mayor. I'm sure he doesn't have an issue with it. It was a legitimate police function. Right? This has been litigated about the chief taking a vehicle out of town. We have the cases. I'll be happy to answer any questions, talk about it, but please take me up on the offer. Let's start resolving some of these problems. Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Short.
Yeah, Jeff Sauter, 41 Ann Street, Coltsneck. Just 2 things as it relates to costs. As you know, I make some Oprah requests, have been making ongoing Oprah requests, and I know you guys don't like it. But the Oprah request in terms of cost to the taxpayer so far through the end of May that I Oprah'd so far, just on this related issue for Judge O'Hagan and also the labor attorneys that you guys, the town had to hire, conservatively, $10,000 that it costs the taxpayers now. And I'm sure O'Hagan's bill hasn't even hit you guys or hit us, the taxpayers, yet. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of money, and unfortunately, it sounds like it's going to be a hell of a lot more money for the taxpayers for what? 5 days? What's in all intensive purposes a minor discipline? What are we going to get? What are the taxpayers going to get out of this, really? If we're not paying more in overtime costs and other costs to cover the chief, what, a couple $100 in the pocket? After you're going to probably spend 25, 30 easily? And I think that's even before this goes through further appeals processes and any litigation-related issues. The last thing, and I know I said this, Committeeman JP, before your arrival here, but a year or so ago, committee members and Committeeman Eastman, I know you weren't here as well either, but there's been a real common practice of abstaining rather than voting. Take a position. And I know this committee is, historically loves to abstain rather than take a position. And I respect JP, Committeeman JP, your opinions and your discussions on this thing. I just wish you would have voted either yes or no. Take a position rather than abstain. If you guys know what you want to do and you're up there to make decisions that us, the committee, us, the residents, the taxpayers, the citizens want you to do. I got nothing further, thank you.
Any other? With that, I'm going to close the public comments. Motion to adjourn. Move. Second.